Alright, let me tell you what we up to today.
Ew, alright.
So we're here, going up to Sleepy Hollow again. We want to get on Circumciser, which is a route that I've been working on and off, and I finally got good beta on, so that might be able to go. We came here a day or so ago, 2 days ago, with the intent of getting on Circumciser, and it was soaking wet. So I got on this other route called Shut Up and Eat Your Greens, and basically linked it in two parts on TR, and figured out all the gear, I feel confident for a lead today on that, so we'll see how it goes. So we made it here to the end of Sleepy Hollow. The face behind me is Shut Up and Eat Your Greens. It goes up this face, and then it does a crazy gymnastic committing boulder problem, pulling the roof right where you can see that corner. So we're gonna drop an anchor on it, clean it up a little bit, and I'm gonna see if I could give it a lead. This is the crux roof. One of the crux holds, you basically have to be able to cut your feet totally while you're on this thing. These holds seem like they could be useful, but they're just out of where your body is. You reach over the roof to this bad sloper, stick your feet up in the crack, dead horizontal, and then reach to this sloper. Once you're on this and this, bump your right hand up to here, which this is a good edge, and then left hand to here, which is really bad. It's like a third of a pad edge. Cut your feet out from the dead horizontal roof, throw a knee bar in right here, bump to the side pull, and then bump left hand, and then you're done. But it's super, it feels very committing, even though there's good gear underneath the roof, and there's a bad micro nut in the roof in a seam. It's just like you're straight out the roof when you make these moves. The gear right here is this micro wire. Put it up on an angle, and then slide it forward, and it still is only like half seated. We're gonna warm up a little bit. Just cleaned it, got all the gear sussed out. So first it's this, which is a great placement, but the flake is terrible. And then you place this micro nut again behind the terrible flake. This micro nut goes in a decent seam right next to it, which this is actually a good piece. And this cam also goes behind the flake, but it's the flake is, you know, this thin and kind of long, so it's not. It might leverage off the wall. And then you get in the roof, and you get two good cams underneath the roof, and you get this very weird wire, you know, up in the seam. So really the R part is the kind of the run out face climbing, but this is kind of a lot of gear for such a short route. It's maybe 40 feet tall, but it's not, none of the gear is good until the roof. Bone broth for power. So, put a clean, for our warm up, after our warm up, I put a clean mock lead on it. Felt a little cold, my hand's numbed out, but there's a decent spot where you can get the feeling back. And really, it's a lot of effort getting over the roof, but the gear is good at that point. So I think I'm just gonna go for it. Because this is scary, but it's not as hard. From where I'm starting off the ground until you get underneath the roof, it's probably 11B, like mid 11 face climbing, with really terrible gear. So you can't see off screen here, there's a large boulder flake that Sabrina's kind of spotting me in the event that I was to fall.
Right where I am, this is a little bit of like a semi stance in the rock, and this is where the first piece of gear is. This gear, I didn't get a video of it, but it's a very bad flake. I think if you fell on it, it would probably just pull the flake off. One of the unique things about this route is that many of the crimps are not actually in cut. They're like slopey, somewhat smooth, like crystally crimps. So a lot of the sequences feel very insecure, and you'll see that I slip my feet a couple times as I'm climbing this, and it's because my shoes are just totally rounded out. They really weren't ready for this lead. This piece of gear that I place is really good. This is the nut. But at this point, my hands are starting to freeze. You know, they're feeling very, very numb. I think it was about 35 degrees where we were on the cliff, and there was no sun beating down. So I ended up skipping a piece of gear here because I knew that I'd be able to warm my hands back up after making the next few moves to underneath the roof. Slippery feet with my rounded toes. More slopey crimps in order to get up here. And then here is relief. If you have the right body position, this is actually a very good rest. One of the things that made it difficult was there was cold air blowing out of the crack. So as I'm shaking my one hand out, my other hand is holding cold rock, getting cold air blown on it. So it was a little bit of an uphill battle to get the feeling back into my hands before I committed to the crux. And then that camera died. It's a little hard to tell from the angle here, but this is my full body is pressed into that roof. When I cut feet here, this was probably my smoothest attempt. I'm trying really hard to make that move, even though it looks very smooth. Definitely not using my knee. That is not using my knee for balance. That is not what that was. And then place the gear right after the crux. From there, it's maybe 6 or 7 more feet of climbing to a ledge, and you're done.
Okay, never mind then. Great job. That was so smooth.
So I got a clean lead on Shut Up and Eat Your Greens. I think that could be a third ascent, just because it's kind of an untraveled line that nobody gets out to. It was only FA'd 4 years ago by Andy Salo. And then there's another local who I don't know if he's done it, but he's led literally everything. His name's Alan Klein. I'm assuming he probably led it. Might be one or, I could be the third or the fourth, or it's definitely not a traveled line. Unfortunately, we had a really cool camera set up to the left of the climb that caught the entire crux and the how horizontal you are on the roof, and the battery died. So we only have a butt shot. All this build up and we only have a butt shot, but it was still great. We wanted to change gears to Circumciser, which is a route that Sabrina's hopefully going to crush today. We got about an hour of daylight, so I don't know if I can go for a lead on this, especially because it's more dangerous. It's X-rated. The other route was R-rated. So really the goal here is for Sabrina to send Circumciser, and maybe I'll put a top rope burn on it or something. proj go?
It was a success. I don't know if I could really call that a project. I gave it 2 burns.
Three attempts. Oh, whoa,
No,
whoa,
last time.
sandbag.
Last time. I gave it like 2 attempts last time we were here, and I stuck the crux moves, and then I felt like, all right, this is gonna go. And then today on like the 3rd burn, it did indeed go. There's a crimp up there that is so small, like I think probably the smallest crimp I've ever used, and you have to hold it in a very specific way. There's like little divots for your first 2 fingers, and if they're not, it feels kind of wrong because they're a little spaced out, but if they're not in that position, it's much harder to hold that hold. And then you get your thumb kind of half on top of this little like tooth that's on there, and then half on top of your first finger, and then it's just very close to the wall. Stand up. I drop my right knee and Eric goes kind of straight up, but once I stuck the hold that you're going to there, I was like, okay, don't blow it. And then there's a dyno right after that. Great feat though, so I felt pretty confident once I made that first move. So yeah,
Good.
feel good.
Sabrina did great. The blood of your enemies for power. So this has been a long-term project of mine, Circumciser. It's embarrassing to say this, but I've probably put over 150 burns on it, and it's a 12B. So in those 150 burns, 15 beta changes, 7 sessions, I totally wrote off this micro crimp that Sabrina described. That crimp was pointed out to us by Andy Salo when I got totally fed up with my method, which was like a very low percentage V8 move. But it was the only beta I was able to make work. I linked it on TR once using my old beta, and I only stuck the move a total of 4 times over probably 50 tries on it. Yeah, so I sent the video of the face to Andy Salo and pointed out that micro crimp, and it just totally changed the sequence from a powerful crimp dynamic dead point to like a fairly static, almost slabby vertical type of move. That's much higher percentage. If we had a longer day, I think I would feel confident for the lead on it, but see, it's getting dark as I'm speaking, so we'll have to come back to this. It would be nice to wrap up what has been a 2-year project for me, and just cracked wide open with new beta.